So in today's video, we're gonna be melting some copper today, and we're gonna try to cast a mountain out of copper. So first of all, we have this. We have the acetylene torch. We have two. This one's. I think this one's oxy, and that one, the green one, is acetylene. So basically, we have to, before we start melting the copper, we're gonna be using this drill press to make the holes in that ceramic brick. I don't know. So first of all, we're going to be using this drill press to make the holes. So what we're going to do here is use a drill press to this is so we can make the holes in the brick here. Place here. So as you can see, I'm using the drill press here to make the holes in the brick here, ceramic brick. So this is the hole. This is the shape we're going to be using for now. And then what we're going to do now is I'm going to do it on this side so you can see better. So we got to make the hole first by using a explosive drill bit. You don't want to make the holes too big because it won't look nice. So this is what you want to have here. This is number one you want to do first. And then I'm going to show you something here. So I don't know if you can see that well. So we make a big hole in the middle. And then we're going to try to make a hole on this side also as well. I'm going to put my finger here so you can see. I don't know if you can see it well, but I don't know if you can see it well, but I'll show you after when I'm drilling those holes here. So you want to have the drill bit as in the middle here, like right in the middle there. You want to have it as deep as possible, but you don't want to have it too deep, because if you have it too deep, it will just break right through the other side. So that's why you want to be very, very careful here. And I'll show you a closer image of what I'm doing here. So you want to make these holes a little bit kind of close together. This is the automatic drill, so you want to make the holes on the outside as not as deep as the middle, like right here. So see how that looks. I'll do a little bit more, I guess. So you want to have so before you start doing this, you want to do it as slow as possible, because if you do it fast, then chances are the brick is going to crack. Because the slower you do it, the less chance the brick is going to fail and it's going to crack in half. So So that's what we're going to be casting right now. And then this is the this is where we're gonna melt the copper right there. So this is the reason why I'm using firebrick for melting copper, because firebrick has a temperature over 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Like the melting point of copper is only about 18. It's about 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So you want to make sure when you're using acetylene for melting copper, you make sure you want to have it at about. You want to make sure you turn the valve all the way. And then turn it back a little bit that way. Same with this one. You want to make sure the gauge is at the right one. Turn it all the way, and then turn one round, just one round. And then so now we're gonna melt the copper, cast it in here. So first of all, before you use the acetylene torch, you want to make sure you have the see the red. You want to have the red hose on first, and then you turn on this one. As soon as you light this one, you turn on. You want to open this one first, and then when you light that, you want to make sure you have it like this. So make sure you have your striker ready. See, that's the flame that you need for melting copper. And before you even try, you want to make sure you have the flame. You don't want it that high because it'll boil the copper. Make sure you have it at about right there. Because if you're melting steel, if you're melting copper, you need the flame at about right. You need like a pretty hot flame, like about right there. For copper, you only need about right there for melting it. Now we're going to be melting the copper. I don't know if you can see it well. So first of all, before you start melting, before you move on to the copper tubing, you want to make sure before you melt the copper, you want to make sure you heat up the your crucible first. This is a refractory firebrick crucible. You want to make sure you heat it up first. Make sure you heat it up at about 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's about 1,000 degrees Celsius. and it's not instant. It's gonna take a while. You want to make sure you have your flame at about right there. You want the flame at about right there. And for this one, you want to make sure you have the copper as small as possible. Because if you have it too big, then it's not going to melt properly. So, you want to heat it up, you don't want to heat it up too much. You want to only heat it up at 2,400 degrees Fahrenheit. That will melt the copper faster. And you only want to have the flame at just under 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit for melting the copper. And then you put the copper tubing on top and you heat it from the bottom and then heat it on the top like this. And then you want to turn the flame a little bit. You want to turn the flame kind of like that color. You need a bright blue for melting copper. Copper needs kind of a brightest blue flame for melting copper. And then we're going to use a metal rod for the mix of copper with to melt the copper. You want to have it you want to have the flame just like that. And it's going to take a while for the copper to melt because copper has a melting point of 1,982 Fahrenheit. So that's it's close to 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And then once you melted this first copper tubing, you want to put the second one on top, just like that. Just make sure you have that heated up first. Never heat it from the top because the bottom will cool off too soon. So that's why you want to heat it from the bottom on this side right here. And see how it melts. I'll give you a closer image here what it looks like. I don't know if you can see that. So it's gonna take a while for it to melt. But the highest melting point metal I ever melted was titanium. Titanium's pretty difficult to melt. Like if this was titanium, like it would take a little longer because titanium takes a little bit more than copper. Like the melting point of titanium is about 1,640 Celsius. So that's about 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So copper takes 2,000. Titanium needs another 1,000 more than what copper melts at. And then if copper's take a time, you turn the flame like this. You don't want to heat it up too much, because if you heat it up too much, it's going to splatter. You want to heat it at only 2,400 degrees Fahrenheit. Don't get past 2,400. Because you get past 2,400, it'll splatter. So you want to also set it really, really hot. Get closer to the image here. There we go. Put that there. Still really hot, you can see. So you want to heat the copper just at the right melting point. If you want to heat it a little bit more, you can heat it at about 2,400 degrees Fahrenheit. But they say when you're melting titanium, they have to use like an argon gas, because argon gas is used for so the titanium doesn't. They say if you don't melt it, if you don't use argon, or if you melt lots of titanium, the higher they say the higher the melting point, it actually catches on fire just from the air. Copper doesn't do that as much as titanium, but I'm sure when you're welding titanium, it needs a little bit more than what the melting point is. Like the melting point is like 4,000, 5,000. Like it's huge. If it's titanium alloy, it takes about 3,000. Like it depends how thick it is too, right? Okay, copper should be melted now, but so I think we'll just melt a little bit more because that thing's getting pretty full there. And the cool thing about this thing here, you could actually pick up you could pick it up with bare-handed. Because brick is really good at insulating, this type of firebrick is really good at insulating heat. Gotta be very careful though. So I'm gonna have this casting mold about right there, because copper. They say when you're melting copper, the copper cools off pretty fast when you don't heat it enough. So you want to have the casting mold. You don't want to have it too close. You want to have it about right there. Oh shit! Something spilt. Something spilt. Well, the casting. I'm gonna heat up the mold too, because that will help. That'll help the copper go in properly. If you heat up your casting mold, it does work, because when you're heating up your casting mold too, it's not that the copper will stick. It will form a lot better than if you don't heat up your workpiece, like your casting mold or whatever it is. It looks like I did spill some, but hopefully I do have enough copper just to fill the side here. And then And there's another reason why you should also heat up your workpieces, because if you put copper without heating up if you put copper in the mold without the mold heated up, it could explode. So that's why you want to be very, very careful. Oh yeah, this is not going to go as well, but so I think what we're going to do, we'll just melt the copper from the thing there into it. And then I think what we'll do now is heat up this piece and then put the copper tubing inside it. They say if you don't, and once again, if you don't heat up your mold for casting the metal, it could explode. That's why you want to heat it up at over 800 degrees, 800 degrees Fahrenheit. Because it will prevent the copper from exploding. Now we're going to use a rod to push the copper pipe in there. And this thing gets really hot. This, look what happens. I'll show you what happens when you when this flame is contacted to brick. Look what happens. Burns really bright, and it'll just burn a hole right through the brick. That's why you gotta be very careful of how much heat you add to it. Okay, it looks like we're almost done. I think we'll just melt this little bit right here and we'll see what happens, I guess. And I think this will be good. We just have to melt this little piece, a little bit right here. There's a little bit of copper pipe left. You see right there where I'm pointing. And you want to heat it up like this, and this will give a chance. This will give a chance for it to fill in all the gaps inside the mold here. You can't see them, but they're in there. And then we'll let it cool off, and then we'll see what happens. You want to turn it off? that exploding sound, that's a backfire. As you see, it's still really hot. If I tap this rod on it, it does dig a bit. I'll show you something here. It's still hot, and it's still liquid a bit. I can still poke it a little bit. It's still really hot. Still really hot. Careful. Wait till it cools off here. It's still really hot. Let's see what happens when we touch it with wood. All I know when you touch molten copper with wood, if you look carefully, when you touch copper, you see how it's turning all shiny? I don't know if you can see, it's turning all shiny right there. That's because when you touch the copper with a piece of wood, wherever the wood touches it, it turns all shiny. But when you take the wood off, it turns all black again. That's because when the wood comes back to oxidize it. Well, it's hardened up quite a bit. Well, it's hardened up quite a bit, though. As you can see, it did harden up a little bit, and it's still really, really hot. And if it's still really hot and you can't touch it yet, as you can see, it's really, really hot still. So let's go ahead and dump this in the water here. I have a bucket of water over there, you can see. And if I could pick this up with bare hands without getting burned. Okay, let's dump it in there now. And I hope we come out with a good casting mold. Like hopefully nothing terrible happened. Okay, we should be able to knock this out of the mold here without wrecking the brick here. But if not, we can always get more silica bricks for casting. I wonder if we could just knock it out and mold there without. Actually, we'll just break it. Oh, it came out. As you can see, it's still really hot, still a little hot. You can't really hold it. Does that look like more of a mountain? If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you think about this video. See you then.